This is going to be a scary story. I did try and do a talk-through video, but it didn't come out right. This is one of the stories that was sent in to me on Instagram. This is also a trigger warning, as this story does involve children. It was summer in 1976, in a small town in South Carolina. I was around 7 years old, and I had a best friend named James. He was around 10. Back then, our parents were always working, and we were always running around the neighborhood and in the woods that were near our house. It wasn't uncommon for us to be gone all day in the woods or fishing. James' mom had passed away a few years earlier, and he would always leave a note on his refrigerator telling his dad that we were going fishing or we would be in the woods or around where we would be. In case we got lost, he could come looking for us. A couple times we did get lost in the woods, and my parents would go to James' dad, and they would come and look for us, and usually find us in a tree somewhere or hanging out under a tree. We never really worried about anything because we knew that James' dad would come and find us. His dad used to work construction, and he would work really long hours. He'd get up early in the morning, and then he wouldn't get home until after the sun went down usually. Sometimes James would come to our house and have dinner. That summer, I had turned 8, and James was about to be 11. Shortly after my birthday, James said that we should go camping. This was something my parents let me do sometimes, but not that often, because they said I was still young. But once I turned 8, they said that I was able to go more often. Me and James had gone camping roughly 3 times in the last 2 weeks. It was a Saturday, and he wanted to spend 2 nights in the woods. So we'd go out around sundown, set up our campsite, spend all day out in the woods hunting and fishing, and by hunting I mean squirrels. And then we'd stay the night again, and we would come back on Monday. Now, usually my parents wouldn't have been okay with this, but it was summer break, and it was kind of the mindset of boys will be boys. So we packed up all of our camping stuff. We had a small tent, a couple of sleeping bags, and of course food. And by food I mean junk food. Really, it was nothing of substance that we brought. That first night we headed out just before sunset. We weren't really worried about having sunlight because we had a really small tent and it only took a couple of minutes to set up. It was also summertime and we didn't really need fire for anything. We weren't going to cook anything anyway, and we didn't bring anything to cook. That night as we were setting up our tent, we thought that we could hear somebody walking in the bushes near us, but James said that it was probably just a bear. That didn't make it any better for me because I was like, what do you mean it's just a bear? I was hoping it was like a rabbit or a deer or something. That night, as we were laying in our tent, we could hear some people laughing and joking around, which wasn't uncommon. It was a weekend, and sometimes teenagers would go out to that spot and hang out and party. We really didn't think anything of it. We made it through that night, and the next morning I woke up early. That next morning we set out early to go fishing. We grabbed our rods and our bait. After we had gone fishing for a couple of hours, we had caught about 5 fish, which was way more than enough than we needed, so James was contemplating throwing some of the fish back. Just as we were about to throw some of the fish back, a lady appeared out of the woods. She startled us because we didn't see anybody or hear anybody around us. James really was just like my big brother. He grabbed me and pulled me behind him as the lady came closer to us, and she asked how many fish we had caught. James told her about 5 fish, and she said she was going to try fishing, but that she had been in the woods for the last week or so, and she hadn't been able to catch any fish. I poked my head out from around James and said, well, then what have you been eating? She said that she had brought some food with her initially, but that it was all gone now. James was also the type of person that had a really big heart. He offered her some of the fish that we had caught and said that we had more than enough. He took 2 fish and gave it to her. It was truly a genuine interaction, until she started walking back into the woods. She turned around, said thank you for the fish, and bit into the fish's head and ripped it clean off. Me, being the kid I am, screamed, "Ew!" But James pulled me and said, "Don't look at her." She slowly backed into the woods still looking at us, chewing on the fish's head. I really wasn't scared at this point. I asked James why she would have done that, and he just said she must be messed up in her head. Nobody eats fish like that, bones and all. James said that he just needed to clean the fish and then we would go back to our campsite. As James was cleaning the fish, we started to hear tapping in the woods, just kind of like random tapping. Almost like somebody had gotten two sticks and were banging them together, or they were banging them on one of the trees. James finished cleaning the fish and we started walking back to our campsite. As we were walking back to our campsite, we could hear bushes rustling near us, almost like we were being followed, but we really couldn't see anything around us. I asked James if he thought that the lady was following us, and he said he didn't think so. Looking back now, I think he was just saying that to try and protect me and make sure that I wasn't scared. We made it back to our tent, and James said he was going to build a small fire so that we could cook our fish. He asked me to go into the woods and get some sticks and leaves. So I did, and as I was walking around, the lady from earlier appeared out of the woods again. I wasn't by James though. I yelled for James and told him that that lady was back. She started running towards me, so I took off running, screaming for James to come and help me. I could hear James calling for me, and I was calling back to him. The lady kept on chasing me. As I was running through the woods, I caught a glimpse of James. He had caught up to me and started running towards me. James grabbed me by the arm and pulled me. I didn't know where the lady had disappeared to. I just know that I felt safe because I was with James again. He yelled at me that we had to get to the tree. There was a tree that we always used to climb and sit in, and it was the tree that James' dad would always come and find us in. We took off sprinting, and as we were running, we could hear people yelling. It was more than just one person though, or so it sounded like. And they weren't saying anything specific, they were just screaming. We didn't have time to focus on anything else. We finally got to the tree, and James pushed me up first. He told me to climb up as high as I could get, and then he followed me. We were both in the tree for a couple of hours, and nobody came. As the sun was starting to set, I began to feel some relief because I knew that James' dad would be coming, and then it hit me. We had told them that we were staying a second night, and we were not supposed to be home until the next day. The sun was setting and we heard somebody walking. A man appeared at the bottom of the tree. He was holding a rather large knife. He looked at me and said, "Why don't you come down? We can play tag." I told him no, and James yelled at him and said, "Don't talk to him." The man walked around the tree with the knife a couple of times, circling us. Then he began tossing the knife up into the air towards us and letting it fall to the ground. I started trying to dodge the knife because he was aiming directly at me. I slipped and fell down onto the tree branch below me and landed on my stomach. I quickly got back up on that branch. Just then, James said, "If you want to play tag, I'll come down and play with you," but he's not playing. James told me it would be okay as he climbed down from the tree. He told me that he would be right back and that his dad would be coming shortly. James climbed down from the tree and went off with the man. I sat in the tree, frozen. I kept waiting for him to come back. I stayed in that tree the entire night and the next day, and that's when James' dad showed up with my parents. As soon as I saw him, I burst into tears. He asked me where James was. I told him everything that happened, and he ran into the woods screaming for James. He told the police, and a search party was formed for James. He was never found, and James was deemed a runaway.